Today, we're tackling a burning question for many Americans considering a move: East Coast or West Coast? This isn't just a battle of beaches versus buildings, it's a clash of lifestyles heavily influenced by the almighty dollar. So, buckle up as we dive deep into the cost of living showdown: East Coast versus West Coast. The contenders: East Coast versus West Coast. For this showdown, we'll be using two iconic cities as our champions: New York City, NYC, the vibrant heart of the East Coast, and Los Angeles, LA, the sun-kissed giant of the West Coast. These metropolises offer distinct experiences, but the cost of living battleground extends far beyond their borders. Whether you dream of charming coastal towns in Maine or sprawling tech hubs in Silicon Valley, understanding the East versus West Coast cost of living is crucial. The big kahuna: housing. Let's face it, housing is the kingpin of any cost of living discussion. Here's where the East Coast and West Coast paint very different pictures. East Coast: renting a one-bedroom apartment in NYC can be a jaw-dropping $3,000 a month, while purchasing a single-family home can easily reach 7 figures. However, as you move away from major cities like NYC or Boston, housing costs become more manageable. West Coast: while generally pricier than the national average, Louisiana offers a slight edge over NYC in terms of rent, averaging around $2,500 for a one-bedroom. However, California's housing market is notorious for its competitiveness, and home ownership remains a distant dream for many. But wait, there's more. Beyond housing. Sure, housing is a big chunk of your budget, but it's not the whole story. Let's break down some other essential costs. Groceries. The East Coast tends to be slightly cheaper for groceries, with a wider variety of ethnic supermarkets offering competitive prices. Transportation. This is a mixed bag. East Coast cities often boast excellent public transportation systems, reducing the need for car ownership. However, if you do own a car, gas prices tend to be higher on the East Coast. The West Coast, on the other hand, is very car-dependent, with gas prices often lower, but the cost of car ownership itself factoring in. Utilities. Utilities can vary depending on the specific city and your usage, but overall, costs tend to be slightly higher on the West Coast due to factors like weather and energy demands. Entertainment. Both coasts offer a wealth of entertainment options, from Broadway shows and world-class museums on the East Coast to Hollywood attractions and theme parks on the West Coast. Costs can vary depending on your preferences, but overall, expect to spend a similar amount on entertainment in either region. The invisible factor: taxes can significantly impact your cost of living. Here's a breakdown of what to expect. East Coast. States like New York and Massachusetts have high income taxes. This means a larger portion of your paycheck goes directly to the government. West Coast. California, our West Coast champion, has a high sales tax. While your paycheck might not see an immediate hit, everyday purchases will feel the sting. The Great American Lifestyle Divide. Beyond the numbers, the East Coast and West Coast offer distinct lifestyles that can influence your overall cost of living. East Coast: bustling cities, rich history, walkable neighborhoods, and excellent public transportation can significantly reduce your reliance on a car. However, the fast pace and smaller living spaces might not suit everyone. West Coast: beautiful weather, access to outdoor activities, and a laid-back vibe are major draws. However, the car-dependent culture and sprawling suburbs can inflate transportation costs. Tailoring the showdown to you: cost of living calculators. This East versus West Coast showdown is a helpful starting point, but it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. To get a more personalized picture, consider using cost of living calculators. Websites like Numbeo and Bankrate allow you to compare specific cities and factor in your income and spending habits. These tools can estimate how much you'd need to live comfortably in each location. Beyond the coasts, variations within regions. Sure, we've compared the big-ticket coastal cities, but the East Coast and West Coast encompass a diverse range of experiences when it comes to cost of living. Here's a deeper dive into the variations within each region: East Coast Tapestry, the Northeast Corridor. Cities like Boston, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia offer a vibrant urban experience, but expect housing costs to be on par with major coastal hubs. As you move inland, costs become more manageable, but keep in mind the potential trade-off in job opportunities and amenities. The South. Moving south along the East Coast brings significant cost of living relief. Cities like Atlanta, Charlotte, and Raleigh offer a good balance between affordability and economic opportunity. The Mid-Atlantic. Charm abounds in cities like Baltimore and Richmond, with a mix of historic districts and modern amenities. Housing costs are generally lower than the Northeast Corridor, but still higher than the South. West Coast Mosaic. The Pacific Northwest, Seattle, and Portland offer a unique blend of urban living and access to nature. While housing costs are significant, they tend to be lower than major California cities. The Southwest, cities like Phoenix and San Diego, boast warm weather and a relaxed atmosphere. Housing costs vary depending on proximity to the coast and amenities, but overall, the Southwest offers a more affordable alternative to coastal California. California dreamin' on a budget? Let's face it, California living can be expensive. However, don't despair. Exploring cities outside the major coastal hubs like Sacramento or Fresno can reveal pockets of affordability. Beyond the city limits, rural versus urban. The cost of living also varies significantly between rural and urban areas across both coasts. Generally, rural areas offer lower housing costs, but job opportunities and access to amenities can be limited. On the other hand, urban centers offer more career options and a wider variety of shops and restaurants, but at a premium price. Ultimately, the best coast, or region within a coast, for you depends on your priorities. Here are some questions to consider. Career. What kind of job opportunities are you looking for? Certain industries might be more concentrated on one coast or the other. Lifestyle. Do you crave bustling city life or a slower pace with easy access to nature? Climate. Do you prefer warm weather year-round or distinct seasons? Family. Are you considering schools or proximity to family when making your decision? By understanding your priorities and using cost of living calculators to personalize the data, you can make an informed choice about your next move, whether it's embracing the fast pace of the East Coast or soaking up the sunshine on the West Coast. Remember, there's no single better coast. It's all about finding the place that best fits your budget and lifestyle. So do your research, weigh the pros and cons, and get ready for your next adventure.